Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sky Knight. Welcome back to Bare Bones and Beautiful. Last time we had a little issue where we kind of lost everything and had to install everything over from scratch. That would have been made a lot easier if I would have had some semblance of backups for my config files, especially my dot files. But we didn't do that. There happens to be a nifty little project called Stow that is essentially an application that is used to make symlinks from a directory into another directory that you choose. You would essentially give it a directory structure that you want the symlinks to be, and you give it a target and a source, and it will create symlinks for you. And this can be used in a way that you can essentially back up your dot files. So let's do that. And before we get going too far, the drink of the night is going to be Evan Williams White Label, the bottled and bond 100 proof. Real nice cheap whiskey. Like, for the price, I think I can get this for like $16. My God, it's good for $16. I mean, it's I'd probably pay like $30 for this. Definitely swings above its weight. Although there's not going to be a pop top at all. It's just a screw top. But let's get into it. All right, and here we are in the Debian installation that we've been building so far. Found a wallpaper that I quite like. This nice little fantasy tree. First things first, let's install Stow. So on Debian, there'll be sudo apt install stow for Stow. And I'll give a little example of how it actually works. There we go. And now we have Stow installed. So let's jump into where we want to actually put our kind of backup directory. So in my case, I'm going to put it in my documents folder. And I actually created a Git repo hooked up to my GitLab account inside of my documents folder. It's called YouTube configs, so we're going to put it in there. And you'll see that the ZSH prompt is now showing that we're in the main branch of the Git repo for this. So what I like to do is I like to group my applications by, or my config files by either like what they are or like what they're related to. So for to back up my ZSH configs, I would probably want to take the .zsh rc file, probably the .p10k.zsh file, and kind of put them in their own directory. So let's do that. So inside of our YouTube configs, let's make a directory called ZSH. And inside of that ZSH folder, we're actually going to copy both of those files. So we want to copy the ZSH file, or .zshrc file, as well as the .p10k.zsh file. And we just want to put them both into this location. And let's take a quick look at the Stow page, or the help page for Stow. And you see at the top, the syntax here is Stow options. So -d is the source directory. -t is the target directory. The source directory is by default the current directory that you're in. The target directory is by default the parent directory. The options that you can actually run this with are -S to run the actual Stow, -D to delete everything, and -R, which is essentially the same as running -D followed by -S. And there is one more feature of this that they don't have in the help page, but with this you are able to change the names of all of your dot files, because unless you're doing a ls-a or something similar to that, you're not going to be able to see that they're actually in the directory. You're able to change their names to dot dash name of the file, and it'll go through and replace the dot dash with a period when it's doing the symlinking. However, this works great for files. It does not work at all for directories. And actually, I'll show you what I mean. There's been a kind of a Git issue with this for the last 2 years. Let me see if I can find it. Yep, here we go. So this was first opened up on April 8th of 2019. Essentially, there's a problem where when there's a dot in the directory name, it's just going to error out saying that error stow_contents, that method, was called with a non-directory path. And yeah, so they've been going back and forth with it. Someone closed it, opened it up again, and if we go all the way to the bottom, see, this was last commented on 18 days ago. It's still not working. So 18 days ago would have been, what, the 3rd? So January 3rd of 2022. And this was opened on April 8th of 2019. The people have known about this for more than 2 years, and it's still an issue. So I don't know. I spent quite a while trying to figure out why it wasn't working until I just Googled it, and it's not working for anyone. It's a bug. They just haven't fixed it. What are you gonna do? So we're not going to be taking advantage of that, although it is really cool. So let's close out of there. All right, so we have our p10k.zsh and our .zshrc file here. Let's back out now, and I will run the stow command to actually show you what this will do. Let's just open up another terminal below to get the help page for stow up. Okay, so we're going to want to do, so now we're in the directory, we're in the parent directory of the ZSH directory that we just created. So we're going to want to stow -d, which is the current directory. Since this is the default, you don't have to do it this way, but I like to be explicit when I give commands. And then the target directory, we don't want it to be in the parent directory because that would just be our documents folder. We want to put this in our home folder. And for the moment, let's actually put some more commands or more flags. Let's do N and V. V will make it verbose, and N will kind of not change anything with the file system yet. It'll just let you see what's going to happen. And stow. Oh, and I typed something in wrong. Oh, I have to tell it what to stow. So for this, you could do an asterisk to do everything within the current directory, or you can do it out by name. So in this case, it's ZSH. It's just the name of that folder that we created. Okay, so this would... Oh, and I have to add another option, --adopt. Okay, so what this would be doing is it would be moving the p10k.zsh file, which is here, and it's going to link that. So essentially this will be the source of truth, and the home directory for this will be a symlink. So let's get rid of the -n-v and just run it. Now, if we refresh this long listing, you'll see that p10k.zsh is a symlink to this ZSH folder. Same with the .zshrc. But what's really cool is you can still edit these. So if you want to edit the ZSHRC, you don't have to go into the documents folder. You can just edit this one and it will update it for you, because when you try to edit a symlink, it will point you to the correct one, which is really handy. And now that we have that there, let's go into our documents folder. Check the git status. So we have some untracked files, specifically the ZSH and everything in it. So git add, git commit -m. And for a comment, let's do first commit with ZSH Stow. Oh, and I must not have set up the SSH key on that correctly, but I'll get that taken care of later. But yes, so now that we have that, we can do everything else. So we're going to speed up the video while I make directories for everything in the .config directory that we want to back up. All right, here we go. All right, and one thing before I forget, the reason that we didn't have to do anything additional in the folder specifically for the ZSH configs is that we just wanted to place things. The target was our home directory. We didn't need to go any farther in our home directory, but now you'll see that I am in the BSPWM of the YouTube configs repo. There's nothing in it right now. We are going to have to make an additional repo. So we need to make a directory called .config, and then inside of that .config, we're going to need to make another one called BSPWM. Make a dir. So what we did is we essentially mimicked the file system from our home directory. So we essentially started at home, we created a .config, we created a BSPWM, and now we're going to copy our BSPWM RC file into here, and it will sync everything correctly. Let's do that with the rest of them. All right, and that should be all of them now. Let's give it a brief look over. Let's jump into our documents, our YouTube configs, and let's look at SXHKD. So we have the .config, and if we go into the SXHKD, we have the RC. Okay, so now we just need to run git stow on these. Let's do that. Not git stow, just stow. Let's hop back to our main YouTube configs directory and run the command. Stow -d for the source directory, which is this one. -t for the target, which is our home directory. --adopt, because there are already files that will essentially be overwritten. We want them to be overwritten because we're stowing them right now. and just do NV to make sure that it's doing what we expect it to be doing. -S to stow, and let's tell it to do everything. Just an asterisk. So this will link up our bsp.dem.rc, our kitty.diff.config, kitty.conf, dracula.conf, polybar config, yep, polybar launch, the rofi config.rousey file, sshkdrc. Okay, so yeah, everything appears to be correct. Let's run it. Okay, no errors. That's always a good sign. So let's check out. Let's check out Rofi. And you see the config.rousey is a symlink from our documents, YouTube. It's a config from our Stow directory. And that's essentially how you use Stow. You make a path that's going to mimic the kind of target that you want. Set that to be the source. Put all of the sources of truth in the Stow directory and stow them so that they will be just symlinked. This is really easy to do if you were to just... So how this comes in handy, if I were to bork my system again, lose everything, I would just have to pull down the YouTube configs from GitLab, run the stow command, and everything would just be symlinked and populated. I wouldn't have to worry about anything. I'd have to install the applications, but the config files, they'll already be there because we stowed them. We have everything we need. Yeah. All right, well, cool. Yeah, that's Stow. It's a pretty useful thing. Wasn't intentionally meant to use in this particular way, I don't believe, but you know, that's the power of software. People will use it in strange and wonderful ways. Although if they could just get that dot files to be working, that'd be amazing. Anyways, thank y'all for hanging out with me so much. I'm Sky Knight. Have a good one.